Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Sens Nation podcast. And we're coming at you on the day between Game 3 and Game 4. And we'd kind of hoped in our last episode we'd be talking about a brand new series. We are not. In fact, we are talking about the Ottawa Senators trying to do something now that has only been done 4 times in the history of the NHL. They are now down 3-0 in the series, and they'll need a 4-game win streak, a historical 4-game win streak to win this series. So Game 4, Saturday night, and disappointment to lose Game 2 and Game 3 by the same score, 3-2 in overtime, a bounce away in either game, and they didn't get that balance. Greg, how are you today?
Well, I am a little disappointed, Steve, but I think that if we just stick to the process, we're going to be able to get through this show tonight. Just stick to the process and what got us here, and we'll get through. We'll be okay.
Yeah. I have a question. When did Simon Benoit become a Norris Trophy candidate? Sheesh, Mr. Clutch.
Okay, I don't think he scored the goal. I think the boys said, okay, we're gonna let Benny get the goal. I'm pretty sure it went in off Matthew Nyes, but I don't know that he's suddenly some offensive phenom. He's got 1 assist and 1 goal. Okay, you know what? That's the first playoff goal he's ever scored in his life, Steve. Unless you go back, you have to go back to before Bantam hockey, when nobody seems to have his stats. I'm sure maybe he scored then, but in Bantam, midget, junior, pro, American League, NHL, first playoff goal he's ever scored. Good for him.
Yeah, that's good and everything. I'd argue that he's been the best defenseman in the series because he's not just that goal and assist, but he's been really good. Like he's been breaking up plays. He's been rushing up ice. Everything I knew about Benoit at this point was like the ultimate stay-at-home defenseman and play a physical, simple game, kind of a Tyler Clevin type. But no, like I say, I think he's been the best defenseman in the series so far. How about you?
You could make the argument. I still think that Tanev does things that the average person doesn't see. Guy gets pucks out all the time. Guy blocks a ton of shots. Guy's physical, shuts people down. He's a damn good defenseman, and he's making a difference here for the Leafs in this series, I think. But you're right, Benoit's showing some offensive flair. He's shown to be a shutdown guy. Like that side of his game has been the same. He's a good defensive defenseman, and now he's added a little offense. So it's playoff time, right? Always have unlikely heroes and guys step up that you don't expect, and guys step up that sometimes you've never heard of.
What is the bigger issue right now for you through 3 games? I know it's people can take the glass half full side of things and say, could be 2-1 Sens, bounce here in overtime, couple of bounces, and they're up 2-1 in the series. But I mean, there's so many issues, right? The scoring, the disparity, the goaltending disparity, the face-off disparity, the D breakdown disparity, and I could probably name a few others. How close is this series really?
Not very. It's obvious, right? It's 3-0 for a reason. That means it's not very close. You could sit there and we talked about the numbers after Game 1. We talked about the numbers after Game 2, the 5-on-5 chances for, shots for, all that sort of stuff. But stats are stats, and what you see on the ice is a different story. Here's another stat. The Senators finished the regular season number 30 out of 32 teams in 5-on-5 goals. And that stat's holding up in the playoffs. They're getting their chances. They're getting a lot of chances. Yeah, they had a lot of chances in Game 1. But basically, they're out shooting and out attempting shots by far margin in 5-on-5. But they can't score, Steve. Like, let's face it, 2 goals a game is hardly going to win you a regular season game, let alone a playoff game. They need to score goals and more goals. And I really thought that they were going to break out home ice, better matchups, the crowd, all that sort of stuff. I was expecting a 3 or 4 goal night, and they still come up with 2 yet again and have to struggle and work so hard to get those 2. It frustrates you.
Yeah, and there have been some bad bounces in the series, but I would argue that that's also a symptom of another disparity, and that is not being very physical on the back end. Okay, you got the puck went in off the guy's skate again. Oh, that puck deflected in off of that. It's because the Leafs forwards are going hard to the net, and they've got size up front, and they're going hard to the net. Nyes, Matthews, whoever you want. I mean, Riley jumping up in the play and kicking one ineffective, not kicking, but went off his skate. So those seem in the moment as unlucky, but the reason that they're getting those goals is because they're consistently doing what they want in front of Ottawa's net, because there's really not much physicality on Ottawa's back end. And so when we talk about this is lucky or that is lucky, well, you have to be in the right position to be lucky. And I feel like the Sens right now are getting cleaned out in front of Toronto's net, and the Leafs are hanging around, and you go to the net and good things happen. And right now the Sens aren't preventing that.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of net front chances from the Senators. You don't see second and third whacks and a good old Dean Brown scramble. You're not seeing any of that. They're just not getting to the net, or it seems maybe even they're not even attempting to get to the net. There's a lot of blocked shots. The Leafs are way out in front in the blocked shot number, but that's because the Sens are shooting from far out. Like they're not trying hard enough, or they're not being successful enough in getting to the dirty areas and getting to the front of the net. And as you say, in front of their own net, they get out muscled, they get out positioned. But people get body position on a Senator defenseman in front of the net. And if I'm in the right place, standing there, it hits my foot and it goes in. But I got there to begin with, and you let me get there, and then you didn't clean me out once I got there. So that's been a problem. You're absolutely right. How many goals have been in the goal mouth? The shot rebound off a leg and in, the Riley off the foot and in. Too many guys getting open in front of the Senator net. Even Matthews. I mean, he's a great play by Mitch Marner. I'll give him all the credit in the world. What a hell of a play he made to get that puck to Matthews. But he's alone within 5 feet of the blue paint. It can't happen. Just can't happen.
Yeah, that was Sanderson kind of leaving the post in front to go to Marner, and he allowed the puck to go through him to get to Matthews, who was basically right behind him, and Zub didn't have a chance to adjust and move over to cover for Sanderson, leaving the front of the net. And just a bad circumstance for sure. And Linus Ullmark looking the wrong way on that one. And that brings us to goaltending. Statistically, the numbers speak for themselves. Anthony Stolar's save percentage in this series, 949. Linus Ullmark at 862. There is not, like I say, for the reasons we just talked about, with these little moments in front of the net where guys are left alone or deflections happen, there's a reason those are happening. But, he does get a lot of grief for sometimes, he's being screened or a bad deflection. But there are also moments like that Matthews goal where he's looking in the wrong direction and just doesn't seem, his usual airtight self. Goaltending's been another thing that's the reason the Sens, part of the reason why the Sens are where they are.
Yeah, and if you look into it a little deeper, you find that he doesn't exactly have a great playoff track record. His career stats are not the greatest. Save percentage, wins, losses in general, expected goals. He does not have a sterling playoff
or even games
resume.
Played. He's only played like 11, 12 games, right?
Good point. Yep. He does not have that. He didn't come here with a playoff resume with a record that said, yeah, this is the guy. Like, he's the guy who's going to get you there. He had he's had great seasons. He's a Vezina Trophy winner, and he had a pretty good season here in Ottawa too. In stretches, he looked terrible, but in stretches, he was phenomenal. And you could argue they wouldn't be in the playoffs without some of the great stretches that he went on with his team. But doesn't have the playoff resume, and really, there's nobody in the lineup, Steve, that has a playoff resume, right? There's nobody that's a playoff performer. Wow, look out. Yes, you've got guys that have won cups, guys that have been through it, guys that have had a high number of games, David Perron, Claude Giroux, even Travis Hamonic, that have played playoff games. But you don't have anybody who's been a standout in the past, anybody who's been a go-to guy, a winner with the stats to back it up. They don't have a difference maker, whatever word you want to call it, when they need somebody to do something and step up and score a goal or step up and make a play so somebody else can score a goal. It just hasn't happened for them in 3 games.
Well, Giroux is that guy, right? He has had a tremendous track record going back to 2010, and a lot of people were saying, hey, the last team or the second last team was the Philadelphia Flyers. coming back from an 0-3 deficit, and Giroux was on that team. So, hey, maybe again, I'd say it's fair to say he's definitely lost a step. But to your point, even in this situation, who's leading the Ottawa Senators in scoring right now? It is Claude Giroux, even though he has lost that step. Meanwhile, statistically speaking, the Sens' big three of Stützle, Tkachuk, and Batherson, your leaders in points per game this year, they have collectively 5 points. And then you look at the Leafs' top three guys in Marner, Matthews, Nylander, they got 15 points. So the scoring speaks for itself. You're quite right. They just don't have those high-end finishers that are stepping up at the right time. And faceoffs are another big deal as well. Giroux is, I think he finished first in the league in faceoff percentage, and it just hasn't been there though for him and the Senators. I think they're like 37% in Game 3, and you just see it costing them again and again. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. Like, it's not a matter of them just losing it. It almost looked like there's confusion as far as assignments go after the face-off loss. I'm sure they work on it, but I don't know how much. But it sure looks disorganized to me after they lose a face-off.
It has more than a few times, and it certainly has on the power play draws. Like your 4v5 shorthanded PK draw in the defensive zone. Every power play, every PK starts in the D zone. So you should have enough footage. You got enough video of certain plays that the Leafs might want to run off draws. So you should at least have that education in you, and just basic stuff like who's got who and where am I going? What route am I taking to get to where I'm supposed to get to? You're right. They haven't looked great on draws. I'm surprised though, because Shane Pinto's a good centerman too. He had good numbers too. Maybe you miss Josh Norris more than you think, but I wouldn't have expected such a big skewed number in favor of the Leafs as far as faceoffs go. It's not something that I would have predicted.
42.8% for the Sens in the first 3 games. That's the worst of all the playoff teams in the early going in the playoffs, so that's not great. And Pinto loses that draw to Austin Matthews, back to Benoit, and Benoit ends up scoring. And I agree with you. There was a deflection. I don't think it was Nyes. I looked at it a bunch of times. To me, and this is my theory, Benoit got credit for it. And oftentimes the scorers will base it on the reaction on the ice. I think it goes off Austin Matthews' glove. Not to say in an illegal way, but it looked to me like the fluttering of the puck changed as it hit his glove and ends up going in on Ullmark, made like a major change. And Ullmark, in the postgame said, I didn't even see it. But I think that Matthews, knowing it's gone off his glove, isn't going to lay claim to it in case the referees get a little cranky about that. So I think everybody just, he got it. We're getting out of here. So that's my theory anyway, and I'm sticking to it. You think it was maybe Nyes?
Yeah, I thought maybe it was Nyes. And to the credit of both the players, I think Nyes took his cue from Matthews. After it went in, Matthews pointed right to Benoit, and that's yours. And I think he knew it wasn't for whatever reason. And then Nyes, and when Nyes first, you see the camera angle from behind the net, Nyes looks like he thinks it's off of him. And then he kind of takes a look at Matthews, and then they all go to Benoit. It was like, yep, we're going to give it to Benny. Benny's the guy. So for whatever reason, I think that they decided, who cares who gets it? I mean, that's not important to them in the big picture, and in life, that's not important to them. But it says something about Matthews as a leader. If he's being sneaky because he thinks it might get called back because he punched it in, okay. But I think it just, maybe whether it hit him or not, he decided, and whether it hit Nyes or not, Matthews decided, yeah, this is Benny's goal. We're going to celebrate him. I think that's kind of cool.
Ready for the big game? Your home should be too. With Celebrate Lights, you can show your team spirit and light up every victory. Sync your lights to your team's colors and let the whole neighborhood know when they score. Match your team's colors, celebrate every win, and take the excitement to the next level. Celebrate permanent holiday lighting, the easiest way to set the stage for unforgettable moments.
So a couple other things. Is there a crazy move you would make for Game 4. You know, I've seen some interesting theories. A lot of them born from emotion and frustration from Sens fans on social media. But is there like something you say where, you know, let's throw caution to the wind, desperate times, let's do this, down 3-0, it can't hurt anything. Is there anything you'd have up your sleeve if you're Travis Green right now?
Other than tinkering with the lines, like he moved Zetterlund around. He had Cousins playing with Giroux and Tkachuk for more than a few shifts in the third period. He had Stützle playing with Zetterlund and Batherson. I liked that. Stützle's got a little more speed to play with Zetterlund, so I think Zetterlund has a tough time if he's with guys that are a little slower than him. But other than tinkering with the lines, I'm not doing anything else. I heard today people talking about put Yakimchuk in. No, there's no reason to do that. He's not going to bring anything. I wouldn't be doing anything crazy. And judging by all the comments you're getting, I joked about it coming off the top of the show here, stick to the process. Well, the process dictates that you don't do that, right? Their process all year has been stick to the process, right? Stick to the game plan, play our game, yada, 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 yada. I don't see them making any crazy lineup changes. I was nervous pregame last night when they were showing Travis Hamonic, and oh my God, don't tell me Hamonic's going to come in the lineup. Thank God that didn't happen. Thank God Jensen was good to go, who's obviously probably nursing some sort of injury, but I can't see them doing anything different. Are you thinking they would, or what kind of thing are you thinking about? Levi Merilainen coming in, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead and steal my thunder. Levi Merilainen would probably be the one crazy thing I might try. I don't think I would.
No.
But it would be at the top of my list if I was going to do something hysterical and something desperate, just because we've seen this year already how in an unexpected manner he came in and went on a major heater. And he had I think he had 3 shutouts and then a fourth one that was in regulation where they lose in overtime to Washington. We know where Ullmark's at right now, and it's second best in this series. And it's a desperation move for sure. And I might you could talk me into it, but for the reason you mentioned about sticking to the process, that does not seem to fit in with that. Though in the goal position, it tinkers with things less than anything you do as among the skaters. But yeah, that would be the one thing I might consider. You would not have me losing an ounce of sleep if Merilainen was given the start on Saturday and they still lost 4 straight. I would just go, you gave something a go. It was a long shot anyway. You tried something, it didn't work out. We'll see you in the fall. You mentioned the injury to Nick Jensen. Brady Tkachuk looks to me like, I don't know, where do you have him right now? As far as health, 0% to 100%, where do you think he is right now?
I think he's somewhere in the 70s at best. To me, it's something in the groin. It's something in the rib cage. It's a mid body injury, Steve, or it's an upper lower body injury. Whether it's a hammy, it's obvious that something's bugging him, and I'm sure it's the same thing that's been bugging him since the Four Nations. He's not 100%. That's quite obvious. But you know what, Steve? There's probably lots of guys in this series who aren't 100%. Like we talked about Jensen, he's another one. But I'm talking about Leaf guys. There's probably all kinds of guys on both teams. There's guys all around the league right now that are not 100%. It's just are you hurt or are you injured? Are you alive? Are you breathing? Can you skate? You can go. They're just guys. It's a different breed. It's a different attitude. You play through these things, and lots of guys are hurt. And I just think it's too bad. It really is. The guy. No one in this town, no one on this team has talked more about the thrill that he's going to experience to finally be on the ice for a playoff game in Ottawa with the crowd. Like Brady's been genuine about that from day one, and it finally happens, and it finally gets here, and he's not 100%. It must be eating the poor kid up inside.
Yeah. And I think I have only positives to say about it. It's, he's powering through, and whatever percentage he's at, I'd guess, I don't know. After the hit from Riley, I was thinking more like 50 or 60. He looked in the third period until he scored the goal. He looked like he was skating with a piano on his back. He just really laboring, I thought. But he gutted it out, and I have nothing but respect for that. And it's not a case of are you hurt or are you injured, because Brady Tkachuk could be 10% and he's still going to give it the old college try. So
Yep.
total warrior, and I respect the hell out of him. But I think he got dinged up additionally in the Riley hit, which brings me to an off the pager here. I've never heard anybody talk in these terms, but I've never liked the hit. Like, I love a good open ice hip check as much as anybody. And if you want to drop a hip on a guy who's coming through to kind of topple him over along the boards, that's fine too. But Riley comes in kind of a T-bone fashion. Like, if you got a hip coming in and you're going to squeeze the guy out at the boards in kind of T-bone fashion, that to me should be illegal. Like, that should be an automatic 2-minute minor when you do that, because as the hip comes through in open ice, well, the legs have nothing behind it, so they can, kind of splay backwards. But along the boards, now you're just like, pinching things out, and that's where you get knee injuries. And in the case of, whatever Tkachuk's got going, you can do a lot of damage with that particular hit, I think.
Yeah, it's the force of the body hitting the body with nowhere for the one body to go, except right into the wall, right? Like there's no give in the wall. Like you say, you can't just let your legs fly out behind you like you could in an open ice hit. It's tough. I don't know that it's a penalty. It's a physical game. It's a tough game. It's playoffs. Brady's probably delivered that same type of hit 100 times or 1,000 times. It's part of the game, the physicality. I've been pleasantly surprised at times by the physicality of the Senators, and then at other times I think, oh my God, why didn't that guy hit that guy? They've kind of been hit and miss as far as their hits go. They're hit and miss with their hit and miss. Like some shifts, you see a guy, yep, that's a perfect play, finish that check, and then 10 seconds later, the same guy doesn't finish that check. It's kind of tough to maintain something like that. You heard Craig Simpson talk about it in the game, or no, I think it was Bieksa. That's an investment. That's a deposit that you're making to tell the other team that later on in the game they're thinking about it. It's in their minds. But you got to do it every time. You got to be consistent with it. And I think if the Sens are a little more consistent with it, maybe that makes a difference. I don't know. We're picking at straws now, aren't we?
I don't think so. This is the stuff Sens fans talk about.
Okay.
So I found it hilarious that you had a fine go out to Nick Cousins today.
Yeah.
For pregame antics. During the warm-up, he basically, and I'm just going by the video that Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet put out there, kind of a grainy cell phone video, probably from the press box, that showed Nick Cousins gently either passing or a light shot toward Anthony Stolarz, who was warming up near the red line. This is prior to game number 3. And there didn't seem to be anything to it at all. But the NHL has come down with suspension, the maximum suspension for Cousins at $2,088.88. Like, what's that about?
Whatever.
And then $25,000 to Michael Andlauer, who's probably like, come on, have you not had a piece of me at this stage? Like, I still have to pay the first rounder here. Now you're getting me for $25,000. Anyway. I found the whole thing laughable when you had Stolarz and Ridley Gregg being accused of just absolute total cheap shots on each other. That was never investigated or looked into, and there was no discussion at all about fines there. But there's a fine for this? What?
Well, I think the thing is that it doesn't take much for it to escalate. Like, no doubt this is just two guys who played together. They played together both in Florida and in Philly. It was the second one or the third one that he shot over there went through Max Pacioretty's legs. Pacioretty lifted up his leg and watched it go through his legs and bounce off the board. So one of the 3 shots that he directed towards Stolarz could have caused something. Like if it hit Pacioretty in the skate while he's looking the other way, that could start something. Who knows? So I get why the NHL steps in, even if it is just 2 guys goofing around with each other, which happens all the time. Like, you heard a number of players being interviewed today, and a lot of them saying, yeah, that goes on all the time. I've shot lots of pucks across the red line in the warm-up at former teammates. It happens all the time. But the fact that it's the playoffs, tensions are running high, and you never know what it'll take. One of them goes and bounces the wrong way. Next thing you know, you got all kinds of crap going on in the warm up. So I think it's just the NHL's way of saying, look, we can't have this. Everybody calm down. Let's not be doing this stuff. And that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, that's probably something along those lines. It just makes no sense to me to get all flustered about that. You know what else can start things? When you run the other team's goalie. You know what else can run that? When you take a big old nasty sword-like slash at a guy's midsection in the middle of a game. Those things can start things as well. But I mentioned the $25,000 fine that goes to the Senators as a team that falls to Michael Andlauer. And he's probably feeling not too bad about it because he's had a very good week financially. He sold his company, Andlauer Healthcare. It has been sold for $2.2 billion Canadian or $1.6 billion American to the shipping giant UPS, who, by the way, made $91 billion last year. So this is the classic drop in the bucket for them. Like that is, think about that, $91 billion they made just last year alone. UPS.
Yeah, scary. Scary.
Anyway, yeah. So he's not too worried about it, but I think it's interesting because Andlauer is actually going to stay on with this new UPS healthcare and AHS. He's still involved with the company, helping to lead them. So there's obviously a hefty salary probably coming his way, along with the big payday from the sale itself. Bottom line for Sens fans, it's something to keep an eye on. And that he's probably going to have a little more time to devote to the Ottawa Senators and even more revenue when we're talking about continuing to build a winner and not to mention a new arena downtown.
That's the biggest thing. The owner has money. The owner has lots of money. I know Eugene Melnyk had money too, but there was always lawsuits and questions about this company and that company. Is he losing money here? And there's none of that going on here. Michael Andlauer has money, has lots of it. He loves the hockey club. He loves being a part of this team. I don't think we ever have to worry about him not willing to spend money to make this a go here, to do the right thing, to sign the right player, to dig deep when the time comes. And the arena's just going to help even more. This guy's he's got lots of money, and he's going to continue to make more money from this team and from his other businesses.
Yeah, and cares about other people. He's got social graces, which is absolutely a fantastic, just gravy on top of everything else. Along with being deep-pocketed, he's a family guy. He seems to genuinely enjoy people, and he wants everybody around him to be successful as he is, and wants everybody to have kind of a part of it. So, yeah, just have all kinds of time for the guy. It's great to see. And one of the things that the team as an organization did very well was not manipulate things, because that makes it sound like a negative, but really marketed and did things as best they could to get Game 3 and Game 4 playoff tickets into the hands of actual Sens fans and not Leaf fans. And it showed. Like it was about a 90 to 10% split between Ottawa Senator fans at 90, Leaf fans at 10. And who can even remember the last time that happened?
It's wonderful. I bet the players loved it. There's been lots of talk, lots of people I heard talking about it today saying that they didn't even remember hearing a Leaf chant. The only time there was a Leaf chant was briefly after the 2-1 goal, after the Matthews goal from Marner. There was a little bit of Leaf chanting kind of took over the building ever so briefly, but it was quickly drowned out. And that's wonderful. If you're the players, like you gotta be happy that the city of Ottawa came through and allowed this to happen. The question now is, those tickets are worth a lot of money, Steve. Are you still hanging on to them and going to Game 4? Like, if you're a guy who leaves a game in the third period with 5 minutes left because you're down by 1, you're probably the same guy who's willing to sell your ticket for Game 4 to a Leaf fan. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But I think there'll be more Leaf fans at Game 4 than there were at Game 3.
I understand why people would sell tickets. I get it's a lot of money. I understand. But I would make sure that you have a conversation with your buyer. State your allegiance, sir, before I give you these tickets. Give them some Sens trivia. Do whatever you have to do to make sure they're a Sens fan that is going to get that ticket. Because it'd be a shame to see it kind of be one and done. But it's also a shame that the Sens are where they are, waiting 8 years for a playoff spot, and they are quickly down 0-3. Stranger things have happened, as they say. 4 times it's happened. It was interesting, Brady Tkachuk at the news conference today, talking and evoking the Red Sox comeback on the New York Yankees, saying that he saw the documentary recently and just trying to plant the seeds of doubt and keep hope alive in that room like a good captain does.
Yep. That's a great doc, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Kevin Millar's hilarious all the way through it. He's the one who, right from the get-go, said it was going to happen. Don't let us get to Game 7. No, don't let us get to Game 7. We got Schill, then we got Petey, then we got, we're going to get to Game 7. It was a great documentary. And, of course, I remember 75 very well, Steve, being the Islander fan that I am. I remember 75 when the Islanders came back against Pittsburgh in the second round, and then did the same thing against Philly. We're down 3-0 and went to Game 7 and lost by a goal to Kate Smith. But anyway, I digress. There's a chance. As long as you're still breathing, you're still competing, you're still got a chance. And I agree with everything that was said. It might be rhetoric. You might think it's cliches, but it's true. Stick to the process. You don't have to win 4 games in one night. You just got to win 1 game a night 4 times. So just get out on the ice and win 1 game, then win the next game and see what happens. I'm not saying it's done, but it's pretty close to done. But I could see them at least winning a couple. You never know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get at least one, just so we're not talking about it next year. Oh, they're still waiting for their first playoff victory in 9 years. So I'd like to see them get one to get that, just that first feeling and just get you wanting more next season. I'm not going to say that I believe it'll happen, but Travis Green has it right, and every coach would pose it this way, frame it this way. We're not coming back from a 3-0 deficit. We're just coming back and trying to win a game. We win a game and then go from there, and then we'll have the same conversation the next day because it's really too big a hill to climb if you start looking at the entire picture. We got to go on a 4-game winning streak when we got absolutely no room for error, and we've made a few over the course of this series. Anyway, it's still playoff hockey, and it's better than the alternative of being where they were the last 7 playoffs. So we're looking forward to that. By the way, Kate Smith, he said they lost to Kate Smith. Like, is she a winger? Like, she was a tough guy?
Yeah.
I know she later became.
You want to talk about pregame shenanigans, right? You want to talk about the pregame and stuff going on. Kate Smith singing the anthem. That's the worst kind of pregame you could experience back in those days.
Oh, God, I didn't think of it as shenanigans or anything. But yeah, she had the fantastic record for sure, singing the anthem. And her legacy was tarnished a little bit by some racial pop songs on the old hit parade in the 1920s and 30s that maybe were, I don't know, crazy racist. So, Kate Smith, the dynamic changed there a little bit. Anyway, I want to turn this into a political situation. We are going to call it quits there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being with us today. Our website is sensnationhockey.com. Please also check out the Hockey News Ottawa. THN.com/Ottawa is the website. All kinds of cool Sens articles there. If you need help with your podcast, I have a little podcast company. It's capitalpodcast.ca. You can read all about what I can do for you on the podcast front. And that is enough plugging for one segment. Greg, enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you after Game 4.